Welcome to AV Geeks at the Hunt Library. Again, not at the Hunt Library. I'm Jason Evans Groth, digital media librarian for the Learning Spaces and Services Department at NC State University. This is our 12th semester of this series, which partners NCSU folks with Raleigh's AV Geeks to discuss vintage educational and classroom films, and we have made it to the end of our 12th semester. Welcome to AV Geeks at... Whoa! Yeah, I get to hear myself in perpetuity there. We have made it to the end of our semester. It's too bad that this show isn't the beginning of the 13th semester. You know what I mean? But whatever. Thanks for hanging out with us this fall. As a little background, Skip Elsheimer, who will be our host tonight, is the founder of AV Geeks and an NC State alum. He has been for the last several decades. I threw several in there instead of few because I think several sounds cooler. He's been collecting film made throughout the last century, mostly 16 millimeter educational, training, and other sorts of how-to movies. As always, he does an amazing job sharing them with the world and currently houses over 36,000 such films at the AV Geeks archive here in Raleigh, sharing them as stock footage for films and exhibits, as research material, and during public events like this. So it's just about Halloween, and today's theme is the haunted classroom. We're very excited to welcome the biggest group of guests we've ever had for an AV Geeks at the Libraries event, all of whom are English Master's students in the film concentration. Let's meet them right now. McKinley Keener.
Hi.
Ben Barkley.
Hello, everyone.
Susie Headley.
Bonsoir.
Julia Ray.
Hello.
Tara Jo Leonards.
Hi.
Maddie Lloyd.
Hello.
And Cameron Allison.
Howdy.
Nice. I was waiting for the howdy. A quick reminder that over 200 of AV Geeks compilations are available for checkout from the libraries, and you can also visit avgeeks.com, look for AV Geeks on YouTube or at archive.org to find more films like the ones you're about to see. For now, I want to hand it over to Skip and the entire class that we have with us.
Thank you, Jason. And I'm very excited for tonight's show because these films I'm showing, I gave a list. I guess your advisor, Marcia Gordon, said, yes, would you love to work with my grad students? And I said, yes, this would be great. I'd always love an opportunity to present my films and let them curate. And so this is a really amazing thing. I did throw in a ringer, though. There was one film that I wanted to really show, which I kind of said, you don't have a choice. You have to show this one. But the other two were ones that they picked. And so these are originated on 16 millimeter. They were shown in classrooms. And the first one we're going to watch is The Mannequin. And who wants to start talking about that?
I'll go. Thanks, Skip. Okay, I'm just going to say a few things about The Mannequin. It is the first film we're going to be watching. It was released in 1977 in Canada. Just a very quick synopsis. It is about a folk musician named Simone who returns home after the death of her mother. And then right afterwards, she starts to experience a series of spooky happenings, both psychological and physical. This film was directed by Don Thompson. Not a whole lot of information available about this director. He mostly produced or created TV series in the realm of documentary, educational work, sometimes geared towards children, and this was in the mid to late 70s. But The Mannequin itself was based on a short story, a written story called The Mannequin, which was first published in 1937 in an issue of a horror fiction pulp magazine called Weird Tales. H.P. Lovecraft's work also was published in that magazine, who this writer worked with, and that writer is Robert Bloch. Robert Bloch also wrote the screenplay, or wrote Psycho the book, which Hitchcock's Psycho was based off of. And that was in, the 30s. But that's just a little bit of information. And now Joe is going to take over.
Hi. Just a little bit of background context on the film and the actors within. Forgive me if I'm nervous. Sorry. The Mannequin, along with 2 other films titled The Island and Mrs. Amworth, which we'll be viewing later, make up a trilogy called Three Dangerous Ladies. And in this trilogy, each film narrative features a woman who willingly or unwillingly spreads evil, which is interesting. And maybe we can talk about that later. The actors are Ronnie Blakely, who came to prominence as the fictional country superstar Barbara Jean in the classic satirical musical ensemble Nashville, if any of you are fans. And Care D'Elia, he had his breakthrough in 2001, A Space Odyssey, the Kubrick film. That's pretty much all I have to say about the actors, and as much context as I want to give you before we watch the film, and a little bit more about the distribution and some really interesting background stuff Maddie will explain. So thanks for listening.
So the theme for these films is the haunted classroom. So each of these films has a sort of educational context to them. And so I wanted to kind of address that. So The Mannequin was part of a series called Classic, Stark, and Dangerous that was meant to be sort of an educational tool. And so the purpose of the educational aspect is that it was intended to teach students how to be active viewers and how to critically engage with film and television media, teaching them to analyze and think critically and seek an understanding of the film, and also to inform them on how to recognize the formal elements and the behind the scenes work that goes on in filmmaking and television production and the like. And another interesting thing is that Susie touched on is that many of the films in the Classic, Stark, and Dangerous were based on short stories by popular authors such as Robert Bloch. So yeah.
All right, are we ready to watch this? This film is crazy. I had not actually seen it until you guys picked it, and it does not disappoint. So here is The Mannequin.
She's gone. I'm sorry.
Simone.
Miss Smith, is there anyone else in the house?
Only your doctor friend, dear.
I see.
Perhaps it was the cat, Simone.
Thank you, Doctor.
Simone, surely you would like some of your mother's things.
Let's get out of here.
Perhaps at the funeral we could discuss.
I won't be at the funeral.
Well, then, someday next week when you're free.
Miss Smith, can't you get it through your head that I don't intend to see you or this house ever again?
Goodbye, dear.
You must be thinking I'm not a very nice person.
I'm thinking you were brought up in a very odd house. I'm sorry I couldn't do anything about your mother. It was just too late.
If she were conscious, she would never have allowed a medical person to be there.
What did you do when she was ill?
Miss Smith took care of her. She had her own type of medicine, herbs, garlic, chance. You wouldn't believe the strange things they used to do to me. They'd hold what you might call seances at night and wake me and force me to participate in them. I was just a child, very scared. Aunt Rosa came, you know, mother's sister, and she saw what was happening. And somehow, she got me out of there. Oh, look out for the hearse here.
Have you a pain?
It comes and it goes. I think I'm just tired. Wired, tense. It's been a heavy day and trouble sleeping. I have a big session tomorrow, too.
I'll get you a muscle relaxer.
Thank you very much. I need a new sunrise every morning. And I need a new moonrise every night. I need a new sunrise in every morning. And I need a new moonrise in at night. I was on the lake at twilight. I saw my skirts in the moonlight. I saw blood red breath.
What happened?
Didn't you hear that?
Hear what?
Oh, I'm sorry, Gerald. That's it for today.
Well, it says here you're a very healthy girl. I'm going to pass you on to a friend.
A shrink?
I can recommend David Priestley in the field of psychology.
Okay, Doctor. Anybody who's good enough for you is fine by me.
No argument?
No.
He usually has lunch around this time, and his office is down the hall. Here's one.
Thanks.
What do you feel just before the pain hit you?
It comes suddenly, like a surprise.
Matter of fact, maybe even when you're feeling good.
Yes.
You think you deserve to feel good?
No thanks to pickles, Doctor. Yes to the feel good. I think I do.
You think you're being punished for it?
I don't think so. Do you think that I should be punished for it?
The very first time that you felt the pain in your back, can you remember what you were feeling then?
Relief. But I was leaving this house, the death house, that I never wanted to go back to. And a woman I don't want to see again.
Which woman? You mean your mother?
No, Miss Smith.
Now, your mother died,
Yes,
and you hadn't seen her for 15 years.
that's right.
Now, you just told me that you didn't want to go to her funeral,
Yeah,
and that you told her best friend that you never wanted to see her again.
yes.
And all you feel is relief.
I think I see what you're getting at. My mother never loved me. I couldn't forgive her for it. And I could never love her in return. And maybe because of that guilt, I have the pain. Is that what you're trying to say, Doctor?
You sure you won't have that pickle?
No, thanks, Doctor.
Hello, Carol, Trish.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Doctor.
So glad to see that your personal therapy is working here.
Oh, now, Doctor, you know that I'm a pragmatist. If it works, it's good.
I thought you were a psychologist.
never on my off hours.
Doctor, I can't thank you enough for your
You're
recommendation.
marvelous.
Thank you. I've never felt better.
You gotta find something.
She's terrific. You have to meet her, really.
David, I have a surprise for you.
You do?
Yes?
What is it?
Well, guess.
A new song.
I know you're coming. And while you're working, sowing your seeds,
Simone, 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 Simone,
Simone, are you all right? What's wrong? What's wrong, Lou? I don't know. Oh, get her outside. Would you get that bench out of the way, please? That's, thank you. Here, Lou, just put your arm around my neck. Come on. It's all right. Just put your arm around my neck. That's the idea. Here, put your other arm around the dock. How about your car? You get the car out in front. It's all right.
David, I can't. I will come back.
It won't take long.
Oh, no. Doctor, please. Oh, David.
That should keep her out for a couple of hours.
Poor baby. He lied to you,
No.
didn't he?
No.
He promised to take the hurt
Shut up.
away. Didn't he?
I think the important thing is to realize that most people, or at least half the world, will agree with you. And, hello. Listen, Simone, would you mind coming back in about 5 minutes?
You scum sucker. Snake, you lied to me. You eater of dogs and dove's blood. I warned you.
I think she's headed for that house. How do I get there?
Have a nice tea, dear. And cinnamon cakes with almonds. I do know how you like them. A little milk and a tiny bit of sugar. Is that right, dear? You look lovely, dear. Really. Uh-huh. Such a pleasant time of year, don't you find? Leaves turning, falling. Must the winter come so soon? There's a pleasant kind of chill in the air. The leaves are dead. Drink your tea. Now. And it gets darker and darker every night. Dark. You colder? Chilly. It's like chilly. We'll light a fire later, hmm? We never really did lose contact with you. You do know that, don't you? Well, then, I think it's about time, don't you? Arek, Bonai, Beshalim. Arek, Bonai, Beshalim. Alec, Adonai, Yishalim. Alec, Adonai, Yishalim. Alec, Adonai, Yishalim. Alec, Adonai, Yishalim.
Sorry to drop by without phoning first, but there was no listing for this address.
We have no phone.
I'm looking for Simone McGlure. My name's Dave Priestley.
Oh, yes. A doctor.
Yes, that's right. I'm also a friend of hers.
Oh, yes. I'll tell her you're here. Please come in. Simone, dear, you have a friend here to see you. Hi, David.
I think the point is, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Why?
Well, you seemed a bit upset this morning.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I really was rude. May I get you some coffee?
No, thank you. Simone, why are you talking at me instead of to me?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, you're treating me like a stranger, like there's nothing between us.
There isn't. I came to you professionally, but I'm better now.
Simone, you're not better.
Doctor, I don't wish to demean you. You have no idea who I am, how I am, or what I am.
Why are you angry with me?
You're hurting me.
So, please.
Doctor, are you making it bad? I always knew you would eventually, but I thought you'd show a little more finesse.
Well, if you need me, you know where I am.
Goodbye, David. Don't come back. Just don't. Leaving so soon?
Hello, Paul. Now, look, I'm at the house. Simone's here. I've seen her. Now, the hysteria seems to have gone. But there's something else, something more serious. Yeah. I don't know. There's something going on in that. I think it's connected with the housekeeper. I don't trust her. Look, I need your help. Will you drive up here with me tomorrow morning? Good. I'll pick you up at your place at night.
He was very beautiful, wasn't he, mademoiselle?
Oui, Mrs. Bell. He was very handsome.
Too bad he had to be so naive.
Oh, yes.
Tis
Rather a pity, isn't it, Simone?
yes.
Hmm?
Do you think the mannequin will be coming home soon?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Don't worry.
All right. We are back. Yikes. That was pretty amazing, guys. And I appreciate you guys picking that film for us to show tonight, because can you imagine being in high school and the teacher brings out a projector and shows this film and then you have to discuss it? Yeah. All right. So the next film we have is Mrs. Amworth. And who's going to introduce?
I'm glad you asked, Skip, because that's me. So let's talk about Miss Amsworth. Mrs. Amworth. So Mrs. Amworth was directed by Alan Rakoff and was written for the screen by Hugh Whitemore. And it tells the story of a small town that has been plagued with a mysterious blood disease that people are associating with gnats. But is it something more sinister, like vampires? And what does it have to do with a woman named Miss Amsworth? Mrs. Amworth, sorry, wow. It's so hard. Like, I always get that wrong. But it's based off of a short story by E.F. Benson. And even though I haven't read the story, I watched that short film, and you guys are in for a real treat.
Nice.
So William Deneen was the dude who produced Mrs. Amworth, and he was the founder of Learning Corporation of America, or LCA. And LCA wanted to make educational films to be shown in classroom settings, like The Mannequin, but they didn't want them created by academics or field specialists, and instead wanted them created by people who were actually like in the film industry. And so they recruited well-known actors, entertainment writers, and because LCA was owned by Columbia Pictures, William Deneen and like other producers were able to have the budget and the connections to make films like Mrs. Amworth that were less like traditional educational films and more like actual films.
Definitely.
And Miss Amworth, was written by E.F. Benson. It is a short story included in one of his several like horror-themed anthology books. So he has 5 volumes of horror anthologies, and they're called The Collected Spook Stories. He was an English author, and he mostly wrote short stories, usually for like periodicals, but he kind of collected all his works in these like various volumes of books. And he didn't have like a massive fan base, but from what I researched, he had like a very avid and like passionate fan base. As it was earlier mentioned, these short stories were used for educational purposes because they are in the public domain. They're able to be taught in classroom settings. So Miss Amworth and The Mannequin were both taught in classroom settings with a teacher's guide called the Classics Dark and Dangerous Teacher's Guide. And I tried to buy it on Amazon, but it's only available in the UK for some reason. So I can't get it, but it's out there mysteriously. And the Classics Dark and Dangerous also had a TV adaptation, which it's unclear if the films we're watching for today are the same footage that they used in their TV anthology. But it's basically like a really short series of only a couple episodes, and it's just like, filmed versions of these short stories that are in this teacher's guide.
All right. So the actor who plays Mrs. Amworth is Glennis Johns, of which some of you might recognize from Mary Poppins, and also she sang the song "Send in the Clowns." So here is Mrs. Amworth. Enjoy.
Green leaves, you're you're my delight. Want to lift?
I help you.
Jump in. Mind the bottles. Shabby for the party. Hold tight.
Right.
Off we go.
You all right, David? Well, this is my nephew, David Salter.
Hello, David. I'm Mrs. Amworth.
Hello.
How long are you staying?
Just a week or so.
Oh, good. We can do with someone your age to cheer us up. Far too many old men living here like your uncle.
Oh, thank you.
I'm only joking. You're in your prime, I know. Have you heard about our epidemic?
What epidemic? No, it's a virus of some sort. Nobody seems to know what it is.
Well, this heat wave doesn't help things either. It makes you feel so lifeless. Here we are, all changed. See you this evening, David.
Will you?
I'm giving a party 5 o'clock. Don't be late.
Well, I'm glad you invited me, Uncle.
You look splendid.
Am I doing this right?
Just keep them turning. That's the way. Make sure they're cooked all around. If only your bishop could see you now. David, be a darling and help with the drinks. The barman is awash with the vin ordinaire. Mr. Green, would you be kind and fetch the salad from the kitchen table? The dressing is on top of the fridge. Keep them turning, otherwise they'll burn. Come along, David, we must circulate.
The infection's still spreading. These so-called emergency measures seem to have no effect whatsoever.
Mr. Erkham, this is a party, not a post-mortem. David, give him another drink.
You've given us all a new lease of life, Mrs. Amworth.
Oh, how sweet of you, Major.
It's true, I assure you. This place was half dead before you arrived.
Indeed. You've given us a new spirit. How lovely.
She's been here.
Who? Mrs. Amworth?
Oh, a couple of months, not more.
Where'd she come from?
I've no idea. She's British-born, I think. Much travelled. Well off. She's very amusing, very talkative. Erkham doesn't like her. Not true. She's pleasant enough. Damn these gnats. David, be careful they don't bite you.
Your uncle thinks they're the cause of this virus.
Yes, he told me.
Well, so does Dr. Ross. He thinks they might be. Well,
don't you?
Who knows?
Everything all right?
Thank you, yes. How much land have you got here?
About an acre, I think.
And she does it all herself, you know. She works so hard.
Oh, I love it. There's nothing I enjoy more than grubbing about in the soil. Black hands, black nails, mud all over my shoes. No cremation for me. I want the good, kind earth all around.
David, you haven't met Dr. Ross?
No.
My nephew, David.
Dr. Ross.
Doctor's a very busy man these days.
I gather it's something to do with these gnats.
Well, so I believe. They bite, you see. That's the trouble. One bite and the poison seems to spread.
It's serious.
Well, certainly more serious than I first thought. We've had to go to London for specialists.
Thank you.
Go on.
You're not eating anything, Mrs. Amwood.
I'm not very hungry.
Well, how about some salad or some fruit?
No, I have the smallest appetite. Major, what's the trouble?
I'm just looking for some bread.
Oh, isn't it on the table?
Well, I don't see any.
Oh, dear, I must have left it in the kitchen.
Oh, I'll go, shall I?
Would you mind? It's the French bread on the sideboard.
Oh, very kind of you, Miss Emma. Thank you.
What happened?
Something bit me.
You also cut your finger.
No, it's nothing much.
Put some antiseptic on it. There's a bottle in the bathroom.
All right.
There we are, Mr. Oakham. Thank you very much.
Are you taking blood samples from everyone?
Everyone who's agreeable. We can't make it compulsory.
Oh, I wish to God we could. 2 more cases this morning. That makes 23 in all.
What's the trouble? Any idea?
Not yet, no.
Something's attacking the red pigment of the blood, the hemoglobin.
And it's the hemoglobin that carries oxygen to the brain. Without it, you're in real trouble.
You mean it's something like anemia?
Initially, yes. The early symptoms are the same. Lassitude, palpitations, depression, pallor. Anemia is usually treatable, though. Course of injections of B12 and the patient's as right as rain. This is different.
How?
Hard to say.
For one thing, B12 has no effect. Will you excuse me?
No lasting effect. It's as if the hemoglobin in the body were being somehow, well, removed.
Being drained away.
If you like.
Strange, isn't it?
It is indeed.
No, I mean, it's strange. It's only here. Only in this one tiny village.
Oakham. Oakham.
Morning, Benson. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, but David's not too well.
Oh?
Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to call off our golf this afternoon.
What's the matter with him?
Oh, too much wine last night, I think. He's still sleeping it off.
Benson? Hello, David.
Hello, Mrs. Amwood.
I brought you some flowers from my garden. How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel so tired. I don't know why. I just can't keep my eyes open.
You'll soon be better.
Thank you.
Come over to my house this evening and play some cards. Do you know piquet?
No.
I'll teach you. Our game, I believe.
You're too good for us, Mrs. Amwood.
Nonsense, you're doing very well. Another rubber or piquet?
Oh, go on with bridge, I think.
I can see why you came here, Mrs. Amwood.
Can you?
It's so peaceful and relaxing.
Well, more than that, I belong here. At least my family does.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, ancestors rather than family.
They all died here centuries ago.
What is their name?
Chaston.
Chaston.
Yes, a fine old Wiltshire family.
How interesting.
It's very.
How's your hangover, David?
Fine. I just wish I didn't feel so tired.
You should have seen Dr. Roth.
He's got enough to do, poor man, more than enough.
Indeed he has.
By the way, did you go for your blood test this morning?
No, I'm far too much of a coward. I can't bear all those needles.
I think you should, Mrs. Amworth. It's important, you know, that we find out the cause of this infection.
I wonder if it is the gnats.
Well, what else?
Ah, yes. What else?
Cut.
Now, look, Urkel, we're none of us in the mood for any of your fanciful theories this evening.
Fanciful theories?
That's what your uncle calls them.
He dabbles in the occult, beware.
A much misused word, I'm afraid. I prefer to regard it as an exploration of the furthermost frontiers of science.
I didn't know you were a scientist, Mr. Oakham.
And neither did I.
15 years teaching physiology at Oxford, and you ought to know better.
You can't dismiss it as easily as that.
Why not?
I've seen it time and time again. Men who've spent their lives serving science are eventually brought face to face with the greatest questions of all. The unanswerable questions. Philosophical, theological, the supernatural, if you like, the occult. Call it what you will. The misty and perilous places of human experience.
Yes, but what's all that got to do with us?
Why don't you answer that tomorrow, Mr. Urkham? David's looking very tired.
Quite right. Come on, David. Time to get you home to bed.
Ah, the evening air is so lovely. I might take a little stroll before I turn in.
Well, be careful of the gnats.
Oh, they don't bother me. I'm not sweet enough.
Good night, Mrs. Amworth.
Thank you, Mrs. Amworth.
Good night.
Well, David, how are you this morning? David, what is it? What's the matter?
I just don't know.
You're so pale. I'd better fetch Dr. Ross.
No, I'm all right. I'm just a bit... Just a bit...
Are you sure nothing was stolen?
Quite sure, yes.
No drugs or anything?
Nope.
What were these used for?
Blood samples.
That's the only thing that's missing. The blood.
What do you mean?
These test tubes were full of blood samples. Now, whoever broke in here last night emptied the lot.
Emptied the blood?
Every drop of it. When did you first notice that inflammation?
Well, this afternoon, I suppose, when I came back from the shops.
Had you been out long?
Oh, no, only about 35 or 40 minutes.
Well, I'll come and see you tomorrow, David. Just you try and get some sleep now. Have you told his parents yet?
No, I can't. They're in Spain touring. I don't know how to get hold of them. Are you sure there is nothing I can do?
No, not really. The B12 injection might help. Anyway, give me a ring if he seems worse.
There is one thing. What's that? Keep all the doors and windows locked.
What?
The gnats, you know. Good night, Ed. Elizabeth Chaston. Benson? Benson?
Morning, Oakham.
Morning. Look at this. I found something. How's David?
Oh, he's fine. What have you found?
I've been going through the old parish records. There's a mysterious plague here in the 1640s. Here, in this village. Only here. A strange disease of the blood. Witchcraft, they call it.
Witchcraft?
Everything was witchcraft in those days. A local girl was suspected. Tongues wagged. Nothing was ever proved. She died shortly afterwards. Her name was Elizabeth Chaston.
Hello. How's David this morning? I brought him some fruit. Is anything the matter? I don't understand.
Yet, O Lord God most holy, O Lord most mighty, O holy and most merciful Saviour, deliver us not into the bitter pains of eternal death. Thou knowest, Lord, the secrets of our hearts.
I hope to God you are right.
Merciful ears to our prayer, but spare us, Lord, most holy, O God most mighty, O holy and merciful Saviour, thou most worthy Judge eternal. Certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life, to our Lord Jesus Christ. Your pain, our vile body, our life of the
Well, good night, Mr. Oakham.
Good night, David. I'm glad to see you looking so much better.
It's taken long enough.
Hey, you have been very ill, you know.
The rest has done me good.
Never felt better. He's leaving on Saturday.
So I hear. I'll be sorry to see you go, David.
I'll be sorry to leave, especially now those gnats have gone.
Yes, things are getting back to normal, thank God. Back to normal.
It's not the same without Mrs. Amworth, though.
No.
A remarkable woman. I'm very glad to have known her. Well, good night, Mr. Erkham.
Good night, David.
I'll see you before I go.
Yes, indeed. Bye.
You know, he still talks about her. And it's damn nearly 2 months after all. I feel so guilty.
Why?
Well, I still wonder about her.
Well, time to say good night, I think. Been a most enjoyable evening.
Good night, David. David? Go! In the name of God! She's here. I've seen her. I've seen her.
She'll be here at dawn.
How do you know?
A feeling. A little knowledge. Call her Mrs. Amworth, Elizabeth Chaston, whatever you choose. One thing is certain. A vampire haunts this village tonight, as it did 300 years ago. Come on, Benson. blow through the heart with this, and she'll be at peace. You needn't look.
You knew all along, didn't you?
Yes. But who would have believed me?
That one was another Lulu. Wow. So great. Again, amazing that this was shown in schools and also on Canadian television. It's really great. All right, so we have one last film, and this is what I call an after dinner mint. And I made the students pick this one because I love it so much. This is Dirt Witch Cleans Up. Who wants to talk about it?
That's me. Hello, everyone. And Skip, before I say more, thank you so much for providing us this opportunity to screen these special films. And to Dr. Marcia Gordon, thank you for bringing us to Skip. And to everyone out there, thank you for attending. This one is super short. So I think it's like only 7 minutes long. So hang out with us a little bit longer. And you'll see why Skip calls this film his ringer, I think. The stakes are a lot lower because this film is The Dirt Witch Cleans Up. It was actually made for elementary school children and kids by a company called the Encyclopedia Britannica Educational Corporation, which is outside of Chicago, Illinois. It was in 1971 that this was made, and it was part of a series called The Joy of Growing Up. Or sorry, not growing up, but just growing. The Joy of Growing. So we've been a little vague there. But along with The Dirt Witch Cleans Up, which is a health short, there were 3 other health shorts. They were called I Care Fantasy, Germs, and The Space Visitors, as well as something called Toothache of the Clown, which I made Skip upload for me to see. And it was just as wonderful as this one we're about to show. There were a few safety ones. There were only 3 as opposed to the 4 health ones. Those were called Playground Spirits, The Helpful Burglars, and The Traffic Jungle. Let's see, a little bit more about Encyclopedia Britannica Films, also named EB Films for short. They were the top producer at the time, for a long time, and distributor of educational 16mm films like these, and later VHS video cassettes for schools and libraries from the 1940s through the 1990s, by which the internet replaced video as a primary source for educational media. The Dirt Witch Cleans Up was directed by someone called Paul Ferrara, who was famously part of the inner circle of the rock band The Doors. He actually got his start with the band by photographing Jim Morrison's girlfriend at the time, and Jim Morrison invited him into the group, so to speak. He made 2 films in 69 and 70. They were experimental documentaries that had to do with the band. This one was 1971. And so as far as I could find, this was Paul Ferrara's last go. And I think that's all I have to say about The Dirt Witch Cleans Up. I really don't want to spoil anything because it's a lot to take in. But again, I should say that this was directed towards super young kids. So a little less scary, a little less mature than the other ones even, but there are like actual lessons being taught here. It's not so plot heavy or mood or tone focused. There's a lesson to be learned from The Dirt Witch Cleans Up. So without further ado, thank you, Skip, again, and take it away, please.
And I would say that this could be as scary as the 2 previous films, depending on how old you are and how you feel about witches. So here's Dirt Witch Cleans Up.
Roam the universe. Different ocean destiny, and turn it in reverse. Night will be day, and day will be night. Right will be wrong, and wrong will be right. The spotless and the clean. I'll make them change before your sight.
All right, let's go. You over there. Pigs are so dirty. I don't see why I got to be the one to feed you. Million things I could do. I'd rather be doing clean up your mess.
Get down! Set! 1, 3, there's 2, 29!
Dirty I am, and dirty you'll be, and then you'll see. Ha ha ha! I saw what you did.
Oh, no one has ever seen me before.
You didn't have to do what you just did. I never wanted to be different and dirty. And a dirty old witch I never wanted to be. Maybe you could help me. Would you help me, please? Please help me. If that's all you want, it sure.
Oh no, are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I think it'll hurt.
No, it won't. I do it all the time.
Does your mother say it? Ow! Ow! I hate it!
Get right in there, right now. We've got to clean your fingernails with this brush. This is how you clean your hands. Toesies first. Now your feet. This is how you do your ear. Now let's do your mouth. We have to do all these things to make you good and clean. Take a look in the mirror and you'll see.
Is this really me?
Sure, it takes one back to make you look like this.
All right. Wow. That was quite something. So I kind of put it out to the comments on the different things on YouTube and Facebook to see if anybody had questions. But I have questions for my grad students who are here. So do you think these films are effective in purporting to teach what they're teaching?
I feel like they are, like, they seem wildly inappropriate, but they are also like super over the top and exaggerated, like, in their effects. Like, if you want to teach about special effects, watching like an anthropomorphic demon child emerge from a woman's back is a great way to teach that. And yeah, so I think they're pretty effective in some respects.
I also think they're effective in their respects. Maybe it's just like the collection that we decided to look at tonight. I'm a little concerned with the way women are portrayed in the films as being out of control and dangerous and problematic. And I don't know if that's a sign of the times, but I think coding these films as educational with that consistent discrimination seems kind of inappropriate. But I don't know if that, if any of y'all feel the same way, but.
Yeah, the fact that they were, at least the mannequin and Mrs. Amworth, along with, it says here, the island, was a part of literally something called Three Dangerous Ladies. And the larger umbrella is classics, dark and dangerous. I mean, even with The Dirt Witch Cleans Up, this is these like smaller films are a part of these larger narratives or concepts or maybe even units. But it's a good question. I wonder if I were to be like a little kid in this class, whether or not I'd have to watch all of the Joy of Growing series, or an older student watch all of the classics Dark and Dangerous short films to take away some larger lesson to be learned.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, so my class in Tennessee, we actually watched one of these, not from the classics Dark and Dangerous, but we watched something about the monkey's paw when I was in like 7th grade. And to my knowledge, these like movies are shown primarily to middle schoolers. So, you know, like we're watching it and we're like, oh, it's creepy. But I like am thinking about it. I'm like, man, I watched stuff like this in 7th grade with my English teacher. So it was just like, and it's so funny because I don't even remember her like being like, these are the camera techniques. She was like, isn't that weird? What a crazy story. And I'm like, great, thank you. I'll definitely keep that with me. But yeah, so I guess kind of going to like what Tara Jo said, like I don't remember us having these like larger like conversations about what the maybe social or societal aspects of the actual stories were. We were kind of just like, I remember we read the short story, we read Monkey Paw or The Monkey's Paw, and then like the next day she's like, we're gonna watch the movie. And that story is creepy in a different way, but I mean it involves like a reanimated dead son, so it's not like the most like kid friendly film, but you know, that's just something we did.
So, and Monkey's Paw was on the list that you guys had to choose from. So that would have been a potential. So when you watched this in Tennessee, what did the teacher do after they showed you the video? Did you have a discussion about that, comparing and contrasting, or how did that work?
We were watching it as part of like studying different forms of like creative writing. So we were specifically looking at like scary stories basically. And I don't remember watching films for the other stories we read, but we watched The Monkey's Paw. I think because maybe it was the only one with like a film that went with the story. But yeah, she wanted to talk about like larger moral lessons that maybe we got out of the film. Like I think specifically with that movie, a lot of the like moral lesson is like, you know, you got to be careful what you wish for. So, you know, that was like our big takeaway for the week. It was like, don't mess with stuff, be careful. But yeah.
Awesome.
If I can say something. Yeah, I think it becomes especially interesting to see these moral lessons placed into conversation with who they're being taught to or who is meaning to learn from them in particular, which like kind of ties together a lot of those points. I feel like it can get easy to get lost in the strangeness of films like these, but I mean, even like the special effects of something coming out of someone's back. Whose back is it coming out of? It's coming out of a woman's back in a sort of birth. Or like, yeah, 2 of these end with a sort of destruction of the woman's body. And then it's interesting how Dirt Witch ends with the woman's body still intact, but she had to get clean to get there, or she had to like transform in some way. So I think like it's especially interesting to think about these films in an educational, like teaching a lesson lens, but also, teaching a lesson. Like who is it teaching a lesson to in particular? And in this case, it feels like towards women.
Excellent. So do you think that these films stand alone just on entertainment value alone? Like the first 2 films, especially?
Yeah, they were incredibly entertaining. I enjoyed watching them very much. How about y'all?
My favorite was honestly Dirt Witch Cleans Up. Like the music and the soundtrack was so good, and the images were so delightful. Like watching like a very lighthearted soap commercial. Yeah, it was great, but like weirdly dystopian, and again, like the manipulation of a woman's body in a weird, really weird way. It was really cool.
The bubbles in the bath were insane. There was, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Somebody wants to know if somebody's dressed up as Wednesday from the Addams Family.
I am wearing her dress.
Nice.
That's where the similarities end, unfortunately, though she is iconic.
Well, you get credit for dressing up. I kind of put it out there hoping that people were going to dress up, and so kudos. Any other notes or things observations about the films? And those observations could be like, dude, why did you have us show those films? No?
I thought the larger exterior shots of Mrs. Amworth were great. I don't know where that was filmed, but this is a Canadian production company, and were we in the UK at all? I forget. Definitely some accents going on, and I guess there's the element of the short story being like the blueprint for this story, but I also, to your question about whether or not these stand alone or they have like cinematic value, like the extended or the delayed title sequence of that one was really great, especially with the larger shot of the building in the background. So
yeah, and the thing about these films are, I think they made it to VHS and they were distributed mostly to educational markets, but they didn't really get a consumer distribution. So these are films that are pretty much lost. Like they don't get really shown anymore. You wouldn't be able to buy them on Amazon, although maybe somebody can find one on Amazon. But they were not really meant for consumer use, and they don't. So there's these amazing works that are just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, one of the things I found while looking up stuff about Mrs. Amworth was that these VHSs were distributed to schools, but there's no record of what schools they went to. And so people literally couldn't find them even if they tried. If somebody comes across a VHS of Mrs. Amworth, that's totally by chance.
Right. Like they'd probably get sent to libraries as well. And that's where these films actually came from, North Carolina's Cultural Resource Library. So you used to be able to check these out at your local public library. And then you would get a 16 millimeter projector and you could show them at your house or at your group. So, these films were, with the Satanist giving birth to a baby monster, they were shown at local school groups and things like that. So here's one final question. Do we think that there's a parallel to these films nowadays that are being shown to schools? You said that you saw Monkey's Paw when you were in middle school. Do you think that there's something that's being shown now that does the same, fulfills the same purpose? Anybody? Bueller?
Do they still show the Magic School Bus in elementary schools? Because that teaches a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. Yes, I think they do. I don't know. I've not been in that situation in a long time, but yeah, video is still being shown.
A few of us are taking a seminar on the Twilight Zone right now, and I watched. That's what we saw in middle school, even though that show was long before I was born. But that's what our teacher who loved the Twilight Zone would show us, because I think the lessons, a lot of the hidden ideas or themes are still pertinent today. And we're learning that in our Twilight Zone class. And I just was making a lot of similarities to that show. And I imagine, I don't know if that show is being shown to middle schoolers now, but with the reboot or remake or Jordan Peele's adaptation of it, I think it might be. And so, yeah, I feel like It'd be weird if these films were taught in class today, but they could be. Or something like them. Yeah.
So some other people have been chiming in on the comments. Someone said that Mrs. Ainsworth was produced by HTV Bristol, UK. So that would have actually been in the UK. And somebody else suggested another title, which maybe some of you have seen, but I also have on film, which is Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, that Ambrose Bierce short story. Anybody remember that? It's about the Confederate soldier that's about to be hung and escapes. Is that ringing a bell?
The Twilight Zone episode. That's the title of the Twilight Zone episode, right? Is that the one with Dean Stockwell in it? I can't remember, but I do recall what you're mentioning.
Well, the one, and so here's some a debate about that. Like, there is one, but it was Italian made, but it's featuring, it looks like it's shot in the United States, but it's actually all Italians. But the guy looks a little like Dean Stockwell, so that's another great film. Excellent. So we ran over a little bit, but I appreciate you guys doing all the work and the research. I had no idea Paul Ferreira had a close association with the Doors, but it makes a little sense now that you say it. And so thank you guys so much. Jason, are you around?
I'm I'm trying to make myself look as scary as possible.
The disembodied head of Jason, are you still around?
Yeah, just use it, So anyway, thank you everybody. This was great. What a fun collection of films that we don't often get to see narrative films like that in this event. So thanks for picking those. That was awesome. So everybody, again, I want to thank all of the grad students, Skip, the AV Geeks team, and everyone for watching our last show of this semester. As a reminder, visit avgeeks.com for more info about what AV Geeks is and to check out more films. Remember, if you are an NC State person, you can borrow these compilations from the library. We have not yet planned our next show, and given that we all keep getting emails about what next semester is going to look like, you'll see soon when we'll be back on the proverbial horse doing more AV Geeks at the libraries. But until then, have a great couple of months. Tune in when we're back. And remember, you can watch this and all of our previous virtual episodes at lib.ncsu.edu and just search AV Geeks and you will find it. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Skip. Thank you, Dr. Gordon. Thank you, everyone at the Hunt Library. We really appreciate this. This was an amazing learning opportunity for us.
All right, everybody, have a good... Oh, wait, I cut somebody off. I'm sorry. Did I cut somebody off? All right. Now I am cutting somebody off. All right, everybody have a good November, December, and I'll see you back next year. Everybody vote. Bye.